Hello and welcome to Edinburgh for Reboot 2022. Let's go inside and have a look what's going on. So we are here in the heart of Reboot 2022, which will be happening on that stage behind me in just a few moments' time. Now, Reboot has been running since 2018, and this is all part of our commitment to build a modern engineering capability within Lloyds Banking Group.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Reboot in Edinburgh.
It's just great to see so many people back in the office after the hiatus over the last couple of years. Just wanted to say a very, very warm welcome to conventionally sunny Edinburgh.
The heart of today is about the hackathon. I'm delighted to be one of the hack judges.
I wanted to fit the brief about that inclusivity. Is it involving everybody and something that people would get value from, or is it for a niche audience? So that inclusivity is what I'm interested in.
Reboot 2022 is all about innovation, collaboration and experimentation, because coming together in an event like this is a really brilliant way to build skills and to help the bank prepare for the future. And nobody knows that better than our hackers. So let's go and have a little look at what's going on with them. Come on. I am here with Girls Just Want Functioning Code, and you are one of only two all-female teams.
We're working on basically a thing called Albi, which the idea is that it's an accessible local banking unit, and it will basically be a glorified ATM that you can do internet banking and all those kind of features for people who can no longer access the local branch.
I'm here with grad team number one. How have you found today? How have you found your experience?
It's been absolutely amazing. So the people here are just like all so knowledgeable. Like I've been able to speak to like so many different people today about, in particular, like at this event, like cloud infrastructure is like the big push. I've been able to speak to the head cloud engineer at Lloyds and quite a number of people from Google.
So I'm incoming for September for the graduate cohort. So everything so far with interviews, whatever, has just been online, only meeting people online. But to actually get a taste for the event in person, for me, has been probably the best part about today.
We have met some amazing people. The hackers are really working hard. There's some really new and exciting ideas coming up. And when we've spoken to some of the people on the stores, it's really been good to see how they can be learning from what engineers want and be asking questions about how they can create it. As it's halfway through the day, we are here at the cake stand because the food isn't bad either. So if you'll excuse me, I'm going to have a cake and I'm going to have a look what's going on now.
So we are part of the Digital Impact and Inclusion team, and we're showcasing all of the different propositions that are part of that. So that includes the Academy websites, which we do for Lloyds Bank, Bank of Scotland, and we're currently working on Scottish Widows.
The partnership we have with Lloyds is a really important one to Google. You know, we look at the way we work with customers as a two-way thing. Like, we're not just a provider. You know, we are here a partner to help Lloyds pivot and change, and particularly what's happening out in the world at the moment.
Yeah, when you look at a lot of the things we're doing on digital, when you look at the power of machine learning and AI through technology upgrades, I think we're only bound by our imagination. If we want to try stuff, we can try things. But yeah, you can imagine a world where you've got virtual branches that you can actually walk around from your own home.
Hi, Vic.
Yeah.
So here you are today at your first Reboot. What are your first impressions?
Absolutely amazing. So I'm loving it. I'm loving it for lots of reasons. I've been around some of the teams and seen what they're working on, and just to see the people in action together, collaborating, coming up with brilliant ideas and design, just blowing my mind.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Daman from Lloyds Banking Group, and let me welcome you to Lloyds Careers Live. I'm joined tonight by my colleague Amy. We both work for Lloyds Banking Group. Give us a wave, Amy, if you can. Last month, our colleagues Ian and Faye took you through careers in data science and analytics. Every month on the first Tuesday, we explore a new career journey to help you figure out if it could be the right one for you. Tonight, we're excited to be exploring careers in technology engineering.
Thanks, Damon. I'm Amy, and I'm really pleased to be the co-presenter today because the world of technology is close to my heart.
When I'm not presenting Careers Live, my day job at Lloyds is in infrastructure engineering. So day to day, I'm completely immersed in tech, but it's not always been that way for me. So if I cast my mind back to being 15, I was keen to get out there, earn my own money, and be more independent. So I took a job in a local fish and chip shop. And at that stage, as far as chips were concerned, I was only thinking about the ones that you could cover in salt and vinegar. Now, I didn't study computing at school. I thought it was a career just for boys. Move forward a few years, and I'm now actually an advocate for women in tech, and I promote technology careers to everyone from all backgrounds. So my journey shows that when it comes to careers, there is always more than one way. Now, at Lloyds Banking Group, we work closely with schools across the country, helping students to build the skills they need to thrive in the future world of work. We built this experience to help you get closer to understanding some of the new and exciting careers that could become part of your future.
With so much change, you let us know that you wanted to explore some of the new and exciting jobs that are growing in popularity and in demand over the next few years. This is why you're here tonight. We've got some great speakers lined up, but we also want this space to be where you can ask some questions. And I'll tell you a bit more about that in a sec.
So yeah, the world of work is always changing, and that's a good thing. I'm sure many of you have your phones nearby and you can look at them and you know that they're now powerful computers. If you ask your parents though, who maybe went to school in the 80s or the 90s, if you ask them what computers were like, then one of the most prized possessions of that time was actually something called the BBC Micro, and I think we've got a picture of it now. So this beige box then, it was revolutionary with 32K of RAM, which is a tiny fraction of what a low-end smartphone has today. It was programmed using a language called BASIC, which was easy for anyone to learn, and it didn't actually have a screen. So if you wanted to see anything, you'd have to plug it into a TV. And it was incredibly expensive. So the BBC Micro would actually set your parents back about £399, which translated into today's money is around 1,200.
In the big corporate world, computers would take up the size of whole buildings and need very specialist programmers who are using coding languages such as Pascal and COBOL. The growth of the BBC Micro in the 1980s opened up programming to be something that anyone could do. Anyone could learn to code for the very first time.
And historically, software development has been a male-dominated industry. According to data from UCAS, just 35% of STEM students in the UK are women. And in GCSE and A-level classes, boys make up a significant majority of the class. Despite initiatives such as Women Who Code, female hiring into software engineering has increased only by 2% in the past 20 years.
Now, one piece of interesting research showed that women and young people are unlikely to apply for a job if they don't believe they meet all the hiring criteria. That's a big thing that holds people back. Tonight's Career Live is all about exploring some of those myths around software development and engineering, that it can be a workplace for everyone. Even if you're not studying computing or have never studied IT, there is still ways to join this fascinating industry. And tonight we'll find out opportunities and roles in technology are so much more than writing code.
For students joining us this evening, this is your space to learn about technology engineering and ask questions of our guests, so you can figure out if this is something you want to consider as a career. For mums, dads and carers, we know that you guys have questions too. You've got probably questions about the industry, about apprenticeships, so we'll do our best to get those answered as well.
Tonight we're joined by colleagues from Lloyds who will help us learn more about careers in software development and engineering. You'll hear more about how this profession underpins so much of what we do as a company, but in companies across the UK. Pop any questions you have in the chat and we'll do our best to answer them. We also have closed captioning running this evening on Zoom, so if you need that feature, be sure to activate it now.
Damon, I think it's time then that we put Zoom through its paces and test everyone's ability to use the chat and emoticons. So we know, Damon, you're joining us from Newport in Wales, and I'm in Halifax flying the flag for West Yorkshire. So let's find out where you're all joining us from tonight. Why not type in the chat and let us know where you're from, and we'll see who's closest and who's furthest away. So get using that chat, guys. Great stuff. So we've got some people from London, we've got the West, East, North, Bradford, Birmingham. Wow, Leeds. Okay, Leeds isn't too far from me, actually. Oh, another one for Wales there, Swansea. Great.
Great. Now we know everyone knows how to use a chat and can use the emoticons. If you hear something you like, you can use these at any point. Amy, I feel like we need to find out a little bit more about everyone who's joining us this evening. So let's do a few simple polls. In our first poll, we're asking you what stage of education you are currently in. This way we have an idea on how we can shape the evening for you. So the options are GCSEs, A-level or equivalent, university, apprenticeship, full-time employment or other. So let's see what kind of results we've got coming through. So we've got a few people who are doing the A-level. So we've got 5 people there. Got a few of our university students joining us. So great. And I'm sure you've just started to go back to university at the minute. And we've got 1 in full-time employment. Really interested to see what other is. So if you are other, it'd be great to share where you are and what part of the journey you're on.
Lovely. And also, let's do another poll. So then we're curious to know how you found out about tonight's event. So this helps us to improve how we let people know about what's coming next. So use this poll to let us know how you found out about us. Did you attend a previous event? Maybe it was a careers advisor or service. Could have been social media, word of mouth, or maybe it was something else. Great stuff, guys. Thick and fast. Oh, a few word of mouth there, social media. Oh, it's nice to see someone's attended a previous event. That's great. I'm glad to see you've come back. But yeah, social media and word of mouth, sort of 50-50 there with them too.
Awesome. Yeah, so I can see that a few have chosen social media. I'm always really curious about social media channels because there are so many of them and they're really useful for keeping in touch with what's happening. So I wonder if you're an Insta person or do you get your serious business from LinkedIn or maybe TikTok? So it'd be really interesting to hear that, guys. So if you want in the chat, just put in what your favorite social media channel is and why you like using it. I'm addicted to TikTok. I spend far too much time on there. What about yourself, Amy? What's your?
I'm more of an Insta kind of gal. Yeah, I like posting pictures and seeing what other people post. I'm probably a bit feel too old for TikTok these days. Oh, looks like you've got some Twitter, some TikTok, work stuff on LinkedIn, Facebook. That's the classic. Love that, Kim. Brilliant. So it's now time to introduce you to the team who are supporting us this evening. So in the background, we have Gareth, our event producer, who makes all the technology work around us in the background. And we have Ian from our apprenticeships team helping to answer your questions in the chat. We're also joined by some of our Lloyds colleagues. So we've got Alistair, Balaj, Josh, Kim, and Harris as a wealth of guests this evening. And, you know, we've just got so much to get through. So pop your questions in the chat as we go. This is all about giving you the insight that you really want.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy. So if I mention the word engineering, what springs to mind? For some people, it conjures images of people building a bridge or planning a major construction project. Maybe for you, it's someone who gets their hands on making something physical and tangible. But lately, the term engineer has crept into the digital space. Joining me to tell us more about the world of software development and engineering, where things are heading for this fast-growing industry is one of my Lloyds colleagues, Alistair Watkins. Alistair, this is a sector that likes a lot of jargon, and sometimes jargon gets in the way of people understanding what it's all about. I'm hoping you can really help us take away the jargon and some of those 3-letter acronyms that we all get confused. So hi, Alistair, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. So I'm gonna ask you some questions, if you don't mind, and hopefully this will help our audience understand a little bit more. So firstly, engineering. What does that mean within the world of technology?
Yeah, I think that's quite an interesting point you made about that sort of definition of engineer. Because I know in my team, I work with someone who's an aircraft engineer, which obviously is kind of really sort of hands-on and physical, whereas software engineer is much more, you know, working with computers. And obviously the term's really broad and covers a lot of stuff. Like you said, people that build bridges, solder circuits together. And definitely, I think there's been a change in the kind of tech industry where, we used to call the role, kind of developer, coder, that kind of thing. But I think people use the term engineer more because it's seen as more of a team activity, and you get involved in more stuff than just writing code. You're not just there at your computer. You're building a quality product as part of a team that sort of delights and wows customers.
Awesome. So you mentioned coding, and I guess that's a really important part of the job. Do you mind just expanding a little bit more about sort of the engineering itself? Like what is it sort of that you would class yourself as an engineer and more broadly in terms of coding and the rest of it?
Yeah, that's cool. And I think, in the bank in Lloyds, we have at least 8 different sort of flavors of engineer. I mean, it's all kind of similar in terms of what they do, and all of it's equally important. And I think it's, in the industry, if you search for jobs as, a software developer or an engineer, you kind of don't want to put yourself too much in that box sort of early in your career and focus on one thing. But I suppose you've got, your software engineers who write code. We've got, platform and infrastructure engineers who look after the sort of, the computers and the hardware and the cloud side of things. We've got quality engineers who focus on like how we validate our code and make sure that it's ready for customers. So, we don't launch anything, certainly in terms of the app, which has got, millions of users. And then we've got other engineers who just focus on the speed that we get changes out. And obviously cybersecurity, which I think you covered before, is really important in terms of keeping us all safe, especially in the bank. And we have data engineers as well, who kind of use data to help us build better solutions and experiences for customers. So it's a real sort of diverse set of things. And generally, it's not something that you have to necessarily get pigeonholed in. Like I say, I think you can move around those different disciplines over your career.
Yeah, it sounds like there's so much actually quite diversity within the roles. So I guess just quickly, just to touch upon how does that all kind of fit together then?
So I guess it's kind of like, as I said, really. So I suppose I like to think of engineering as kind of like a big tech umbrella. They're kind of like, and underneath that, there's all these different disciplines that fit together. And really, in terms of your career, certainly lots of people that I've worked with, they've started off in one. Like a lot of people start off, writing code as a software engineer, and they can kind of move between them. And it's kind of all really driven by curiosity. And I think ultimately, like anything really in your career and what you do, you've got to kind of find your passion. But I think the real important thing, and the way that the industry's changed is you can't really ignore the other things. So where we've got people who, like a quality engineer, like I say, is responsible for making sure our code's ready for customers, as a software engineer, you're just as much a part of that, as any other kind of engineer. So while we have those roles, they're really like specialisms, but as part of that kind of team, everyone works together to do engineering,
Yeah, I love that. I love that whole teamwork and team aspect. You're really bringing that to life. So thank you, Alistair. So I'm really interested in terms of the skills and the demand for people in this sector right now. So how can our students be assured it's a good place to consider as a career?
Yeah, I guess, I think, one of you said earlier about, you've got your phone nearby and sort of clearly like tech is everywhere. It's a massive growth area for like the world as a whole. But obviously in finance, in banking where we work, it's a massive thing, the kind of rise of internet banking apps, and obviously the kind of challenger banks who have their, completely app-based is really kind of changing the market. But I think what you kind of commonly hear now is like every company is a tech company. They just happen to be a tech company that sells you a mortgage or, delivers your stuff or something like that. And I think if you look at how like companies like Amazon and Google have sort of, somewhat taken over the world, they do that through data and tech. And obviously with things like AI and stuff coming along as well, it's only going to continue to grow. And, you can see that through all the trends and things through the research that you can read online.
Amazing. Yes, I definitely think it's a good place to be right now.
Yeah.
I'd be really curious, Alice, to really understand what excites you about the sector, like what brought you into it and what excites you about it. Does it still excite you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so I'm kind of had a bit of a different route to Amy perhaps. So I'm definitely a techie. I enjoy tech, and kind of from a young age like wanted to get into it. I mean, engineering is really all about problem solving, whether it's software engineering or you're building bridges or whatever. And there's always another problem to solve. And the great thing in kind of like that engineering we're talking about today, like software engineering, is there's always a new way of solving it. Things are changing so quickly. And there's just a massive variety of stuff to do, and as well as kind of like going sort of deep into one specialism, you can go really wide and try different things. And I mean, it's something that you can definitely see the world with, sometimes into physically travel the world and just do different stuff.
Amazing. Okay, so let's try to give some advice to those who are in the audience. So if you cast your mind back to being of school age, what kind of skills or interests might lead someone to think that this could be an interesting space for a career? If you could kind of nail down a couple of.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does help if you've got a real strong sense of curiosity. Obviously it also helps, I think, if you're kind of into tech and that sort of naturally is your passion. I think it's really important to always kind of like work in something that's a kind of passion for you, because you're going to be doing it a lot of your life. So you want to really do something that you enjoy and you find interest in. But I think just having that curiosity to kind of explore stuff. And I think what kind of made it harder for me is we couldn't afford a computer at home. They were really expensive, and I think that made me want it more. I managed to get an old one from my business studies teacher, because we didn't do GCSEs in computers or anything at my school. And it's not easy. There is a lot to learn, and it's kind of it's a bit like learning to read and write again. But equally, my cousin, she did geography at uni. She blew up bridges and was really successful at that. But then after uni, she went into coding for the money. So I think it's probably all about just finding your motivation,
Yeah, awesome. Alistair, really, really thank you. Thank you for your time this evening and sharing just a little bit of insight into your world. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Now, those of you who have joined us early for tonight's broadcast, we have seen a film of a hackathon held in Edinburgh this year called Reboot. And a key to hackathon is user design. So Amy is going to introduce our next guest, Balash, and the world of UX.
Yes, so if you look at your phone and open any app or use a laptop, you'll be seeing design in action. So in years gone by, to use a computer, you'd have bought it with a hefty instruction manual. But these days, designers use their understanding of how we interact with technology to design interfaces with the smallest learning curve possible. And here to tell us about user design, or UX as it's also known, is Balazs McNain. Hi, Balazs.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for joining us. So let's jump straight in then. So can you tell us how you describe UX?
Yeah, UX design is all about making things easy to understand and easy to use. These things don't have to be software. They can be almost anything around us, like services that we use, building or room layouts or street signs, just to mention a few. But if you'd like to hear about a more concrete example, just think about doors without proper signposting. Am I supposed to push it or pull it to open? Luckily, the design tools are here to fix this or similar issues to make things as simple as possible. It's always about make things seamless and easy to understand.
So what skills then are involved, and how would you acquire those skills?
Yeah, you need empathy and the ability to listen as you uncover what can be improved and how. You build up these skills through constant collaboration with designer colleagues and the people you're designing for. Good collaboration needs a group of team players with good communication skills and a very creative mindset. In the right environment, you'll be coming up with great ideas and solutions that will solve real problems very quickly. So it's all about practicing and listening to others.
So you mentioned there about sort of empathy and being a team member. Is there any other sort of kind of personality traits or mindsets that you'd feel would be useful for this type of role?
Yeah, sure. UX requires a very open mindset, but equally you'll have to be creative, as quite often you need to come up with multiple solutions to a problem. You must be able to listen to feedback so you can synthesize and action on them. The UX design space is very, very diverse, but these are the core skills that you need in all areas of UX. But if you're a design researcher, for example, you'd often meet people with a background in psychology or people who are experts in human behavior or body language. But if you're an interaction designer, which is another area of experience design, you need to keep yourself up to date with the latest technologies and trends.
So I guess one of the questions then for you is what everyone will be wanting to know is what attracted you to work in UX?
Sure. I was always interested in how things work. Becoming a UX designer was a natural and inevitable move in my career when I became a front-end software engineer. The more I collaborated with UX designers, the more I realized UX design was something I really wanted to explore more. Good design is one of the most crucial elements of delivering a successful product. Who wouldn't like to be part of something that has such a huge impact on the success of the product? I certainly didn't want to miss out.
Absolutely, yeah, it's great to be able to leave a legacy behind. So could you give us some examples then of when UX is good and the difference it makes to consumers, and maybe for cheeky, maybe one that's not so good as a comparison, and then the challenge that can cause?
Yeah, sure. The best performing companies in the real world are all design-led companies. The company listens to customer needs, their pain points. The end product will be a product that generates good feedback, happy customers, of course, good sales figures. So likely this ultimately leads to success. Among many, many other companies, just to mention a few, Tesla and Apple are good examples of companies that are certainly design first and design-led companies. So it's safe to say that products are well designed. So every time you feel annoyed by anything that you're using, that's a good example of bad UX. Those that you pull that needs to be pushed to open are excellent examples. But you know, at the same time, it has to be said that something that just doesn't work or any negative feedback on any product are really, really valuable pieces of information. You can only fix those problems that you know about. This is why many organizations actually celebrate failure, because it means that they are now one step closer to getting things right.
I like that. That's a good way of looking at failure. So how do you see the role of UX evolving in the next few years?
Yeah, artificial intelligence or AI will be a fundamental part of many products, which will require a shift in how we carry out UX research or UX design project or service design project, any type of design project. As a consequence, new design tools will appear on the market to support these new needs, but it's likely that ease of use through motion design and gestural interfaces will get some more traction in the near future, just like augmented reality or 3D interfaces. But, this is my take, but you know, what exactly the future holds is anyone's guess.
That's very true. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening, Balazs. You've been great.
My
Thanks
pleasure.
for answering our questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, that was great. Thank you. So let us introduce you to two people starting their own careers in this space by pursuing an apprenticeship in software development right now with Lloyds Banking Group. So I'd like to welcome Kim Hannah and Harris David to the mix. Hi guys, you okay?
Yeah, doing good. How are you?
How are you?
Good.
Right. So I'm gonna start firing some questions your way, and I'm sure there's lots of people waiting to hear your answers. So before we talk about your apprenticeship, I'm really curious to ask you both actually. What were you doing before you started your apprenticeship? So Harris, I'll come to you first.
So mine's kind of really similar to Amy. I was working at a takeaway, making burgers and pizzas. Yeah, I was trying to save my way into uni because unfortunately I couldn't get student finance, and I didn't know there was another way to get into the industry.
Awesome. Okay, you've already it's almost dinner time, so you started making me hungry for the thought of some burgers, and I'm on a diet as well at the minute. So Harris, you're not helping me out there. Kim, how about yourself? What was you up to?
So I was working already for Lloyds Banking Group, but I was in the call center supporting like customers with like their queries and their banking stuff. But I was also doing power of attorney stuff. And I was the union rep as well, or one of the union reps. So I was helping like our colleagues as well. But I was already working for Lloyds.
Okay, so you're already working for the bank. Okay, really, really interesting. And you've taken that angle into the apprenticeship. So I'll touch a bit more about the apprenticeship in a moment. But again, I'll probably fire this out to both of you. What got you interested in software development? So I'll come to Kim. I'll come to you this time. Mix it up a little bit.
I see what you did there. Okay. So I've always been like interested in tech, computer games, like bit of a gamer. And also like really old school computers as well. They were always like really quite cool to me. But I never did anything really with that outside of like buying a Raspberry Pi and playing about with that. But one of my friends knew that I was interested in tech and made me aware that there was an opportunity to apply for a software dev apprenticeship. So, I didn't need to know how to code to begin with, so I applied, which was great.
Awesome. And then Harris, what about yourself?
I need people to stop talking about food in the chat first of all, making me hungry. I haven't had my tea yet. I was that one annoying kid in school that kind of always knew what he wanted to do. So I did GCSE computer science, I did A-level computer science, and I was just like, yeah, I want to be a programmer. I was kind of inspired by my uncle, who was a software engineer at the time. And yeah, that's how I really got into it.
Awesome. Okay, so Harris, I'm going to ask you this question, right? So now that you're in it, is it exciting? Is it boring? Are any 2 days the same? Like, what is it? Like, how do you feel about the job that you do?
It's exciting. It's definitely exciting. It keeps you on your toes as well a lot of the times. And surprisingly, you don't spend 100% of your time coding, which is what you kind of imagine. I'd say it's more of a 60-40 split. 60% is spent in meetings, researching, planning, and only 40% is actually hands-on coding. But I really enjoy the people side of things because it's not like how I guess software engineers and computer scientists are showed on TV shows and everything. We're just in a corner coding away in a dark room. It's a lot more interactive. You have a lot more conversations with people, and yes, Lloyds is a great place to work as well, so that helps.
Nice one there, Harris. Got the little pitch in there as well. I like that. So thank you for that. So Kim, I'm going to ask you a quick question, slightly different though. So for those who don't speak tech, how would you describe to your mum or your family member what you do all day?
Sure. So I explained that, that I code stuff up that if it's like really specific to my role is I code stuff up that checks like are really important applications for making payments, make sure that they still work and that they'll speak to each other after someone's changed something. And our team gets to create a dashboard, like a web page that you see on the internet, to show us, what if they're working or not.
Well done, Kim. I think you've helped me understand it a little bit better there as well. So kept it really simple. So I like that. Harris, I'm going to ask you this question because you were in a scenario where you were thinking about saving up to go to university. Really interested what happened. So what made you choose an apprenticeship over going to uni?
So it wasn't a choice at the start. I always planned to go to university because I thought it was the only route. I wasn't aware of like apprenticeships being available, and I'd always assumed they'd pay like £2 an hour, £3 an hour, and that's kind of not what I wanted to do until I came across this. But interestingly enough, I didn't realize there's a degree apprenticeship as well. So I'm now currently on the degree apprenticeship. So I finished the level 4 and moved on to the degree apprenticeship. So now I'm actually going into university, Manchester Met University, going in for lectures and doing that alongside my work. It's a lot to balance, but it's great. The amount of learning I'm getting and the support you get is amazing.
Well, it probably definitely beats flipping burgers and having to study at the same time just to get your way through. So, so really, really well done. Completing one apprenticeship and onto your next one. Fantastic, fantastic achievement, Harris. So, Kim, I'll come to you. So you were already working in the bank. So I guess it was, and I know your interest, you were telling us your interest was always around this type of stuff, but what made you make the move? Otherwise, you could have just kept with the bank, couldn't you? And could have kept with the
Totally.
normal career path.
Yeah, I could have stayed where I was. So I was really lucky. I had a friend who kind of knew that I was already kind of interested in tech. And what I've noticed, like now that I'm in it, is that people have been like, yeah, that's right up your street. But it was a friend who said to me, listen, there's an apprenticeship opportunity. You might want to look at that and possibly apply. So I kind of got the nudge, and it was very last minute, which was probably a good thing because I didn't have time to talk myself out of it, which is something I'm pretty bad at doing. So yeah, I applied thinking, I'm going to get a bit of feedback. I'm going to, see how it goes, and then I can reapply again because I knew now this was an opportunity. A bit like yourself, Harris. I thought the only kind of route was like, you had to go to uni, get like qualifications, so then you could go into a job like that. So I was like, okay, this is another route. Let's see what I can do here. But yeah, I got the role. Which is pretty cool.
And Kim, can I ask you a quick question? Did you know anything about like coding and things like that before you did that, or was it just because you had a general interest in that type of stuff? But
I had a general interest. I didn't have any real coding skills at all. So yeah, I came in not knowing coding. So I had to learn that from scratch when I came in to the apprenticeship.
amazing. Again, I just have to applaud you. That's a great achievement, Kim. So really, really well done. I guess I'll keep with you, Kim. I guess looking back then, how do you feel about the choice you made about kind of switching up and doing an apprenticeship?
Oh, looking back, that was the best choice I've made. I absolutely love my job. So I don't, it sounds really cliche and really cheesy, so I apologize. But I don't feel like I'm working when I'm working. I just feel like I'm problem solving all the time. It's like doing puzzles, and that's something I enjoy doing. I pay for the privilege for puzzle games, so I get to do that as part of my job. I've got a really good boss. I've got a really good team, and you find people that you kind of associate with because you're all into the same kind of things. You're all at the same level of geek, and it's fantastic.
I love that, and I can absolutely feel that energy coming through you, Kim. That you absolutely love what you do. So that's a great space to be in. Harris, I'll ask you the same question then. Looking back on the choices that you made, how do you feel about them?
I think it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Student finance rejecting my finance application because of my visa is the best thing that's ever happened to me. At the time, it was my worst nightmare. But yeah, a lot of things in life come as blessings in disguise, and I guess that was one as well. Just didn't realize it at the time, and yeah, really enjoying it now. I'm in the midst of it, and a lot of my friends that went to university have graduated. They're kind of struggling to find roles compared to people who already had that experience or who was taking part in an industrial placement. And that's one big benefit I found from doing an apprenticeship. I've got the qualification, but I've also got the hands-on experience working in industry, because working in industry isn't necessarily the same as when you're coding at home. There's a lot more that goes on in the background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to ask you a few questions now about the actual role. So I guess what kind of projects have you been working on then? So if we talk about some specific projects, if you can talk about them, it'd be really good to know a bit about that. So Harris, I'll come to you first if you don't mind.
Yeah, so one of the projects I worked on and took lead on was automating the process of closing customer accounts within stockbroking. We closed 800,000 dormant accounts that had no activity and no money inside of them, which it seems daunting at first. I'm 1 year into my apprenticeship. I've only been coding in industry for a year, and sort of my land manager's gone to me, I want you to take lead on this. But yeah, it was successful. We obviously did all the testing, and it was a successful project, and now that process has been automated and is run monthly.
Wow, I guess that just shows the scale of the things that you get involved in as well, isn't it? So that's amazing. 800,000 accounts, and only 1 year into your apprenticeships, you will definitely had that stretch opportunity early doors, didn't you, Harris?
Yeah, it's something I kind of I guess pull myself into. I love jumping into the deep end. That's how I find I learn the best, by being thrown a lot of work and difficult work, and somebody saying, figure it out and do it. And that's what I kind of thrive in.
Awesome. I guess I'll probably ask you a quick question. Does the apprenticeship help you with that then, in terms of you do some of your learning and then you get a chance to practice it? Is that how it works? Or is that how it works for you?
So the degree apprenticeship is amazing. Like, you go into lectures weekly, once a week, and you're learning exactly the same content as somebody who's going to university. But the biggest differentiator is then I get to apply that the next day at work. Whereas somebody at university won't get to apply it for 3 or 4 years.
Amazing. So you really get that hands-on experience and the theory that sort of supports at the same time. So really, really great. So Kim, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions in terms of what kind of projects have you been working on? We'd be really interested to hear about that.
Yeah, so I've been working mainly on like web development using Python and Django. Bit of jargon thrown at you, but it's really super fun. I love using Django. I get to work with databases, pretty front end stuff like creating web pages, and some back end stuff as well to make things all work. So mainly working on like a dashboard. As I mentioned earlier, like what our team does, checking out those applications, making sure they're still working. We want to make sure that people know that, yeah, it's up and running, or something's not quite working. So we want to put that on a dashboard and make it easy for people to see that. We also kind of we script up like those checks as well. So previously maybe a person would have done those checks. It would have taken them a while to do that. Now we've automated that, so we can click a button and those checks just happen. So you can imagine we can do more and more checks more frequently. So that's kind of what we've been working on.
Awesome. Again, big impact stuff, isn't it, Kim? So I guess I'm going to throw this question to both of you, but I'll start off with you, Kim, in terms of what kind of skills will really help you thrive in this type of role.
So I heard somebody earlier mention being curious or having curiosity. I would totally echo that. Be curious, like stick your head down rabbit holes, be a bit Alice with things. Also, like, it's easy to say it now, but having that, don't be afraid to like try things out, have a go at things, experiment, and if it fails or it doesn't work, that's great because you've tried something new, and you then know that that's not the way to do it. Let's try something else. So have a bit of that curiosity and that like experimentation, but also just make sure that if you are learning something, especially in an apprenticeship or something, that you drive your own learning. So you can kind of say, actually, I need to learn this. And if you know what you've been told, watch a video to get that information, do a course like online, and that doesn't quite work for you. For me, especially, I had to go away and then find a book or find something to read to kind of take that information in. So it's about kind of owning that kind of learning journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess, is that how the apprenticeship has worked for you then, Kim? Just quickly on that then, is that how you've done, you do a bit of learning and then applying it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the focus when I came in, and the chat that me and my manager had was, that's your focus is your apprenticeship. So I would do some learning. I would do maybe a task, and like it would kind of all mold together. So that learning and that being able to do my job, it would all kind of come together. Does that make sense?
Awesome. Yeah, it really does. So we're going to wrap up in just a short while. So I'm just going to ask you one last question. If you think back when you left school, how does your life now kind of compare to what you initially imagined? Sorry, I'll ask Harris that. Sorry, you're both waiting up, aren't you?
I'm in the job I wanted, completely different pathway, but I ended up where I wanted to be. So I'm really happy with it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Harris.
I wanted to do mental health nursing. So this has been a total change. So I went from mental health nursing to work in call centre to now doing software development.
Wow, so that is a big change, but Kim, there's lots of opportunity to support in the wellbeing space within the bank as well, isn't there? So I'm sure you get your you can get a piece of that to satisfy your initial view on what you wanted for your career. Guys, we're going to wrap up there, but thank you so much, Harris and Kim. You've been absolutely amazing. Really brought it to life, and loved hearing about the stuff that you've been involved in, and how maybe that a bit of different direction that you've taken it, and your different journey. So really appreciate your time this evening, and thank you. And back over to Amy.
Thanks, Darren. Thanks. So over the past few years, then the choice for those of you leaving school or college at 18 has increased, and apprenticeships are becoming more and more popular. So this year in Lloyds Banking Group, we're welcoming our 10,000th apprentices. So some time ago, it used to be said that if you felt academic, you should go to university, and if you felt like you wanted to do something practical, you might do an apprenticeship. Skip forward to today, and that line has been blurred. So apprentices are more common than not actually continuing on your learning to a degree level and beyond. And here's our colleague Iona to tell her story.
My name is Iona Wright. I am a graduate apprentice at Lloyds Banking Group studying software development at GCU. What attracted me to the software development programme at GCU was probably the course altogether. I looked at the modules and I decided that it was giving me what I needed in my job. It wasn't just about the coding, it was actually taking an application from the start all the way through. So you're looking at how do you start an application in a business, how do you design it, how do you take the architecture, how do you communicate that with everybody. So that's what attracted me to the course. A project that I've worked on in Lloyds Banking Group involved us using Kubernetes, and in GCU we actually completed a DevOps module that had Kubernetes involved in that. When I told Lloyds about what I was completing at GCU, they actually put me into a team that I was able to use Kubernetes, and what I learned in GCU I was able to actually put in practice in Lloyds.
The advantages of graduate apprentice program are, number one, the partnership between the GCU and Lloyds Banking Group is working so brilliantly well that we've produced young talented engineers like Iona and few others who are working in various departments within our value stream. The other thing that I see is that because these engineers are still learning, they're able to apply what they learn almost immediately at the workplace. They also come in with such a fresh, open mindset that enables leaders like us to channel them into various job families within engineering, and they're not coming with a set path. So this enables us to grow more wider than in one, for one job family. So overall, I just see advantages and positivity with this program.
I think we can encourage more women into the tech industry by removing the stigma of tech. I genuinely believe that there's a lot of people that think tech is kind of out of this world. You know, like they can't get into it, it's too complicated, it's too, oh, I can't do that. And it's actually not. Tech is, you like to solve problems and you like to do something different in your day-to-day job. If you have that and you're stimulating the brain, that's what coding is, that's what tech is. So we need to remove that stigma.
What a great video there from Iona. Remember, you can keep asking questions in the chat, guys. Ian from our apprenticeship team will answer as many questions as he can for you. So Iona is completing her degree at Glasgow Caledonian, and Kim and Harris are starting their journeys. So let me introduce you now to Josh, who has so many letters after his name. He either likes writing lots of essays or dressing up in graduation outfits. Welcome, Josh.
Hiya.
Hiya, Josh. How are you?
I'm not too bad. It's been a long day at work, but we're powering through.
And you got stuck in traffic on your way home tonight as well, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, we did. Fun times.
Yeah. So Josh, I'm going to ask you a few questions this evening, just like I've done. So I'm really interested about yourself to start off with. So just tell us a bit about yourself and how your career got started.
Yeah, so I'm Josh. I'm currently working as a quality engineer within the bank. It's not where I originally started off. I kind of started off in the kind of more traditional sense of an apprentice. So I just completed my A levels, and kind of decided that university wasn't for me. I'd been to see a few sort of campuses and stuff like that, and we kind of came to the conclusion, myself and my parents and friends and that it just wasn't for me. I wasn't a very academic person per se. I didn't enjoy sort of just sitting in lectures and kind of things like that, which ironically, given what I've done, sounds a bit off. But anyway, and realistically, I'd done a program while doing my A levels, which gave me a bit of a work placement over the summer, which was interesting, trying to juggle that with a part-time job working for a supermarket as well. That was not a fun summer, but I got involved in the kind of real world of work, and I thought that's for me. This is what I want to do. And I think at that point, I turned around and went, yeah, this is me.
Awesome. So again, you made that really conscious decision about not going to university and entering the world of work. So I guess a quick question around the apprenticeship structure. So how have you found the apprenticeship structure supported your career development?
It really has helped in reality, because there's a lot of skills and things that you learn, not necessarily the kind of how to code in this language and how to launch apps into Kubernetes and all that kind of stuff, but it's more about the kind of the softer skills. So like how to write a business report, how to write in a more professional manner, how to present, how to, almost without being too pedantic, but how to behave, because we go from this very kind of casual learning environment to then this professional environment, and they are two very different worlds. And all these kind of skills that you learn on your apprenticeship really help that, and can really almost push you to drive and kind of reach that next level in your career, and reach that next sort of grade or next promotion and things like that.
Awesome. And Josh, you talked earlier a little bit about balancing sort of working and studying. So I guess it'd be really interested for those who are looking to explore an apprenticeship. So what's it like trying to combine working and studying at the same time?
It's not easy. I'll say that up front, because there's a lot of people that tell you, oh, it's fine, you've got enough time, this, that, and that. It's not easy, but it's worth the effort, and it's worth that kind of that sort of that those extra hours on an evening, and that extra, like, spending your Saturday writing an essay or whatever and trying to get it done, because at the end of the day, you're doing this for your own benefit and for the business, and it's kind of a two-way system. And at the end of the day, if you can get better in your apprenticeship, do better in your grades, you can then progress and hopefully improve your entire career. It's not easy. There has been many of times where I've been sat there having, I think at some points I pulled an all-nighter trying to write a dissertation, but then every student has done that at some point, one or another. That's probably more the fact that they leave it until the last second rather than what I'm having to work a full-time job. But you know, we've all been there. You get through it, and you will do it.
No, and I definitely think there's an element of that mindset that you've got to be, that you will get through it. Because I was going to ask you that, and you've articulated that really well. So Josh, we've only got like a minute or so left, and I really want to ask your question to give some wise words to our younger students who are out here this evening or listening back on the replay. So if you were to leave some final words to our younger students here this evening, what would they be?
I guess I've been asked this question a lot, and I think that I always come out with the same answer, and it's one that my granddad told me when I was younger. And he basically said, nothing easy is worth doing. And I think that is a kind of almost like a mantra for life. If it's hard, if you're really struggling and you're having to power through it, it's worth doing in my eyes.
Love that, Josh. I think that's definitely one that it sticks close to me as well. So brilliant, Josh. I just want to say a big thank you for your insight. Congratulations on all the qualifications that you've received. and how you started your career in technology engineering as well through apprenticeship. So really appreciate your time this evening. So thank you for that, Josh.
You're welcome.
So I think we're going to be playing a video now. Just bear with us while we're going to play your next video for you.
So yeah, hi folks, I'm John and I'm an apprenticeships manager at Lloyds Banking Group. So thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you've had an interesting time so far at the event. And yeah, I often get asked about the roles that we offer in the software and technology engineering space. So I'll just tell you a little bit about them and then I'll let you know what the application process looks like. So typically we recruit into level 3 and level 4 apprenticeship roles, which include things like IT solutions technician, software engineer, quality engineer, and DevOps engineering roles. And the programs themselves are around 18 months in duration, and you'll learn about software development, methodologies, programming, and software testing. And then as well as that, you'll get elements of design, development, deployment, and maintenance. So as I say, the program itself will take you around 18 months to achieve. However, all of our apprenticeship roles are permanent positions. So after you complete your apprenticeship, you're a full-time colleague in a technology engineering role at Lloyds Banking Group, and you'll then have the opportunity to potentially develop even further by undertaking a degree or even a master's apprenticeship in technology engineering. So in terms of joining the group, again, I'm often asked about the application and assessment process and what that looks like. So generally, applicants could be asked for A-levels plus maths and English GCSEs on application. But at Lloyds Banking Group, we recruit based on motivation and strengths. So we don't ask for upfront qualifications. And if you don't have your English and maths, for example, at GCSE level, we support you to study them from an equivalent an equivalent of GCSEs is something called functional skills, which sits alongside your apprenticeship program. So yes, when you get to lloydsbankinggrouptalent.com, if you're looking a bit more detail, you can see the application process right here. So first stage is everybody will do an application online, and depending on the level of apprenticeship you've applied for, if it's level 4 and above, you will do some online tests, so a numerical reasoning test and a situational strengths test alongside. Second stage is then an interview, so it'll either be face-to-face, telephone, or a video interview, and that's the final stage for any level 2 and level 3 applications. And if you're successful at that point, we'll make you a job offer. And then for level 4 and above, we'll invite you to one final stage, which is an assessment centre. So it's a full-on day, this one, although we do get good feedback about how interactive and surprisingly how fun people find it. So you'll get another interview style exercise there. There'll be a series of strengths-based exercises as well and some virtual challenges. And if you're successful at the end of your assessment centre, again, we'll make you an offer to join the apprenticeship. We typically run 2 campaigns through each year. So an autumn campaign for starts in March and then a spring campaign for starts in September. And again, I'd encourage you to visit lloydsbankinggrouptalent.com because you can find a little icon there that's called register your interest. And what that'll do is that'll put you into our kind of keep warm list, and you'll receive an email update as and when the campaigns are about to launch. So last tip, I guess, from me before I leave you to it is just remember that at the group, what we're looking for is motivation and strength. That's effectively how we recruit people. It's not based on their experience. So if you don't consider yourself to be a pure software engineer or technologist, don't be panicking. We buy great people essentially. So all that's left for me to say at this point is I wish you all the very best of luck with your future career, whatever path it might take. And thanks so much for listening today.
Now, we've learned from all our guests this evening that technology engineering is a diverse sector made out of lots of different jobs. So there is space for everyone, whether you like the detail and logic of coding, the precision of quality assurance, the vibrancy of a hackathon, or even putting it to work your understanding of how people think and use tech in UX.
Amy, I find it really hard to believe that we've only got 5 minutes left. The evening's absolutely flown. But I would like for us to do a few more quick polls. So guys, we're really interested to hear from you now. So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most confident, how well do you understand opportunities for careers in tech and engineering now? So really interested to hear that. Well, we started off with a 5, so love that. So we got nice, we got 4s and 5s. Yep, so we've got majority 4s and 5s, but there's still a couple of 2s and 3s. So guys, if there's any questions out there, just feel free to stick it in the chat. We'll try to get to that. And then let's think about, so on a scale of 1 to 5, I think a career in tech and engineering could be right for me. Let's see what you guys think about that. I'd hope there'll be lots of 4s and 5s here. Not that I'm trying to sway it. Love that. Yep. Fantastic. So we do have a good majority there in 4s and 5s. So fantastic to see, and really interesting to see how everyone is feeling.
Yeah, I still feel I've learned so much this evening. So thanks to all our guests for joining us. And let's now look ahead to Lloyds Careers Live for November.
Yes, we'll be back the first Tuesday of November, which is the 1st of November, exploring careers in finance and accounting. So technology roles may be growing quickly in Lloyds Banking Group, but our traditional strengths in finance and accounting still create great career options. So do come back in November to join Kat and Mahari as they explore that career space.
There's a lot of info here, so you can hold up your phone and scan the QR codes or click the links in the chats. So up first, this is the Lloyds Banking Group talent website. This is a treasure trove of information all about roles at Lloyds Banking Group. So you've got apprenticeships, graduate schemes and current vacancies. And then if we do the second link, it's next month's Lloyds Careers Live session on careers in finance and accounting. And looking even further ahead in December, we'll actually be looking towards Christmas. And that season is when many people are considering their UCAS forms. So we will be putting a special festive edition of Lloyds Careers Live together, bringing some colleagues along who went through that experience in the past few years. And they'll be there to share their experience and top tips with you. So you can book your spaces right now for November and December, and we will send you a reminder closer to the time.
So guys, it doesn't end there. If you want some help and practical advice on CVs, interview skills, building your personal brand, then you'll want to sign up for our World of Work Experience events running on the 20th and the 27th of October, when some of you may be on half term. They're free, and 97% of students who join the World of Work say they recommend it to others. And finally, 2 great resources, the Association of Apprentices and Amazing Apprenticeships. Both of these websites give you lots of insight around apprenticeships and how to find them, whatever employer or career sector you're thinking of.
Don't forget, if you miss anything in Careers Live tonight, you can catch the replay from tomorrow on our Careers YouTube channel, along with past Careers Live events on cybersecurity, customer services, and data science analytics. Damon, it's been a great evening. We are officially handing over the baton to Mahari and Kat to host this session next month, which is all about careers in finance and accounting.
So from all of us here at Lloyds Banking Group, we wish you the very best with you and every success wherever your career takes you. See you next month for another Careers Live.
What does success mean to us?
Success is making a difference.
For our customers and our communities.
Success is empowering people from the start.
Building their confidence.
Giving them tools to start their careers.
Success is putting our people first.
It's knowing when to listen.
And making the time to talk.
Success is supporting causes we care about.
It's getting involved.
All hands on deck.
Success is making banking better.
It's engineering a fairer future.
Making progress and leaving no one behind.
whatever shape it takes.
Success starts with us.